That's it. We did it. We finally made it. Welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and today we finally wrap up this People's Choice Top 100 Board Games of all time. Today we finally cover and share with you the top 10 board games of all time as far as you, the people, are concerned. I've surveyed over 3,100 board game reviewers, designers, publishers, content creators, and influencers, and these are the results that we have come up with. So that's it. With no further ado, let's get straight to what you came here for, the People's Choice Top 10 Board Games of all time. The People's Choice number 10 board game of all time is Castles of Burgundy by Stefan Feld. This game is now almost 10 years old at this point. It is truly a classic within the hobby, and it's probably the magnus opus of Stefan Feld. And in this game, players have their own player board, which represents their estate. And their estate is broken up into a bunch of different sections. You have city spaces, you have farm spaces, you have river or port spaces, you have mountains for your mines. And players are drafting tiles along the game and trying to place them onto their player boards in order to capitalize, get benefits, and score points in a plethora of ways. However, the tile drafting is not so straightforward. On the beginning of the turn, players must roll their dice, and based on their dice and the numbers that they roll, that determines what they can do with their actions. They get 2 actions per turn. And for the most part, what they're going to be doing with those actions is they're going to be drafting tiles from the main board and placing them onto their own personal boards onto their estates. However, to draft a tile from a particular depot, your dice that you use must match that depot's number. And to place a tile onto your player estate, then each of the hexagonal spaces for those tiles on your player board has a die number on it, and the die you use for that action must also match it. Castles of Burgundy, as of this recording, is ranked number 15 on BGG's rankings, so the two numbers are very, very comparable. I'd like to take this time to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people have all chosen Castles of Burgundy as their absolute favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 10. The People's Choice number 9 board game of all time is Brass Birmingham. And I'd like to point out the fact that Brass Lancashire also got lots of votes for this survey, but it was a landslide as far as which of the two got more votes. A lot more people voted for Brass Birmingham. And at this point, we can say that the Brass system is designer Martin Wallace's magnus opus par excellence. This is the game that he is most known for today. Yes, Age of Steam and Steam itself in Days of Yonder were the games he was more recognized for, but these are the games that are drawing lots of popularity to his designs. Now, I must add that Brass Birmingham does have 2 other co-designers who worked together and I guess made some of the modifications in the system from Lancashire. This game is an economic strategy game that tells the story of competing entrepreneurs in Birmingham during the Industrial Revolution. And players are trying to develop, build, and establish their industries and network in an effort to exploit high and low market demands. This game, as of this recording, is ranked number 3 on the BGG rankings. So as you can see, anywhere we turn, this game is very loved. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people have all chosen Brass Birmingham as their favorite board game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 9. The People's Choice number 8 board game of all time is Carcassonne. Yes, Carcassonne, the classic game from about 21 years ago, is many people's favorite or among their top 5 board games of all time. This is the classic tile laying game, which has kind of put the tile laying genre on the map. There might have been a few tile laying games prior to Carcassonne, but Carcassonne is the one that made it famous. On a player's turn, they're drawing a tile, they're placing it on the landscape to continue the landscape. It's almost like putting together a puzzle. Then the player can choose whether or not to put a meeple on a particular feature of that current tile that they just laid down. And the meeples, depending on the features that they're played on, serve different purposes and score the players victory points in different ways. This is a very basic gateway style game, a great game to introduce your non-gamer friends to board gaming, and a great game to introduce children into more serious games as well. This game currently, as of this recording, is ranked number 182 on BGG's rankings, which is typical for a game of its age. However, the IG community doesn't seem to mind as much when a game is this old. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names here on the screen. These people have all chosen Carcassonne as their #1 board game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 8. The People's Choice #7 board game of all time is Everdell, the game that is known for its beautiful box cover art and its striking table presence. In this game, players take on the role of leaders of different forest critters, trying to expand their civilization by building buildings, meeting new characters, and hosting different events. On their turn, players could take one of 3 actions. They can place a worker, or they can play a card, or they can prepare for the next season. Players are building their civilizations by laying different cards in their tableau. This game features dynamic tableau building, and these different cards on your tableau consist of different card types that all combo with one another, synergize with each other, and ultimately unlock different benefits, achievements, and abilities. This game, as of this recording, is ranked number 31 on the BGG rankings, so it is considerably higher here on the People's Choice at number 7, and it's to be expected with this demographic, the IG community, that values aesthetic appeal and table presence in their choice and preference for games. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people have all chosen Everdell as their #1 board game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 7. The People's Choice #6 board game of all time is Ticket to Ride. Can you believe it? This game, which is pretty old itself, it's about 17 years at this point. Another classic gateway game, and people still seem to love it, especially in the IG community. This game is a simple route network connecting game where players are connecting routes from city to city, ultimately trying to accomplish hidden objectives in the form of their destination tickets, trying to connect one city to another city and get points at the end of the game depending on how long and how distant that connection is. Players are doing this through a simple rummy mechanism where they are drafting cards and trying to collect sets of a particular color in order to build routes on the board that match the color of that set. Like Carcassonne earlier, this game comes with lots of different expansions and spin-offs, tons of different maps so you could explore virtually the entire world, and people do enjoy their traveling. So again, I'm not surprised of its immense popularity. Ticket to Ride, as of this recording, is ranked number 178 on the BGG rankings. So again, within this demographic, significantly more popular. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people have all chosen Ticket to Ride as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 6. Hey everybody, if you're enjoying this video and you're enjoying this series, don't forget to click on that like button down below, and also while you're at it, click on that subscribe button. Harry, my son, do you really think it's fair to manipulate and persuade all of these poor people into subscribing to your channel? Pfft, poor people? He's the sorry soul making YouTube videos for a living. He's got a point. The People's Choice #5 board game of all time is Gloomhaven. Yes, the massively popular Gloomhaven, which is on the top of the mountain, the #1 board game of all time as far as BGG is concerned, only makes it to number 5 on the People's Choice list. This is a fantasy-themed, dungeon crawl, adventure-style game, cooperative game with legacy elements. And this game, according to the box, brings like thousands, if not several hundreds of hours of content and playing time. This game has definitely taken the board game hobby by storm and has set a new benchmark, a new standard as far as dungeon crawls and fantasy-themed games altogether. This game, as I mentioned earlier, is ranked #1 on the BGG rankings. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the people who have all chosen Gloomhaven as their favorite board game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 5. The People's Choice #4 board game of all time is, wait for it, this is where people are going to flip their lid. especially those Gloomhaven fans. Catan. Catan is the People's Choice number 4 board game of all time. As I mentioned earlier, it seems like this particular demographic does not mind their older games. I will say I was drastically surprised by how high Catan ranked. And as I looked at the results of the different people who voted for Catan, these were actual heavy-duty gamers that within their top 5 had some pretty meaty games, but Catan still finds its way into their top 5, and for many people, into their number 1 board game of all time. And we have to respect Catan for what it's done for the industry. It's been a trailblazer. It's been a pioneer. It's been a ambassador of sorts as far as the board game hobby is concerned. It has spread the love of board games worldwide. And lots of the games that we enjoy and love today, while not directly influenced by Catan from a design or mechanism perspective, they owe their existence to Catan or to the success of Catan that broke down these international barriers and created the global melting pot that is the board game hobby or the board game industry as we know it today. Catan, as of this recording, is ranked number 401 on the BGG rankings, which again is not a surprise due to the fact that on that platform, older games and much older games like Catan tend to be pushed down and pushed out. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people have all chosen Catan as their favorite game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 4. The People's Choice number 3 board game of all time is Monopoly. No, I'm sorry. The People's Choice number 3 board game of all time is Scythe by Jamey Stegmaier. Yet another Stegmaier game or Stegmaier production here in the People's Choice Top 100 Games. And Scythe basically takes place in an alternate reality with a 1920s setting. The game revolves around the land that surrounds the mysterious factory. Players each take on a character from one of the 5 different factions of Eastern Europe, and they're attempting to earn their fortune and claim the stake of their faction. Players are conquering territory, they're enlisting new recruits, they're reaping resources, gaining villagers, building structures, and activating mechs. This game is an engine building game where almost every aspect of gameplay features some sort of engine building element to it. Now, the artwork and the components might lead people to speculate and believe that this game is purely an Ameritrash or attack-heavy game, but this is more of a hybrid, a Euro-style game with some Ameritrash or some combat aspects to it. This game, as of this recording, is ranked number 14 on the BGG rankings, so it's a little bit more popular on the People's Choice list. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people have all chosen Scythe as their favorite board game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 3. The People's Choice number 2 board game of all time is Wingspan, designed by Elizabeth Hargrave and again published by Stegmaier Games. So yet another game on the People's Choice published by Stegmaier Games. This game is popular for many reasons. This game has a bird theme where players each have their own unique player boards which represent their nature reserves, and their nature reserves are divided into 3 sections. You have your forest section, your plain section, and your water section, and each of the different birds can only live in 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 of these different habitats. Some birds are more flexible than others. Also, your bird cards have a different capacity of how many eggs they can lay on it, and eggs will be victory points at the end of the game. And the eggs are a beautiful component. They add so much to the aesthetic appeal of this game. This game is very educational. You end up learning a lot about birds, the length of their wingspans, what regions of the world or particular countries they tend to be found in, or the different foods that their diets consist of. This game, as of this recording, is ranked number 20 on the BGG rankings. So although it's very popular there, it's considerably higher on the People's Choice at number 2. And again, it goes back to that demographic and the value for visual and aesthetic appeal. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people, when they're not playing board games, are obviously going bird watching. They've ranked Wingspan as their number 1 board game of all time. As far as the People's Choice is concerned, it's number 2. That's it, guys. It's here. The moment you've all been waiting for. The People's Choice number 1 board game of all time. And that game is Terraforming Mars is the People's Choice #1 board game of all time. Yes, this game that anticipates the eventual colonization of the Red Planet. This game has a 25th century setting where players each take on the role of different corporations who are working together in the terraforming process, but they're competing to get victory points that are awarded for their contribution to that terraforming process. They're also advancing human infrastructure throughout the solar system, and they're doing some other commendable acts while they're at it. Players are acquiring unique project cards along the way, each representing different tasks and objectives that they're trying to accomplish. Many of these cards have specific requirements that must be met before they even become available. These requirements quite often involve the ocean coverage, the temperature, or the oxygen on the planet. This game is truly a resource management game, as there are 6 different resources in the game: steel, titanium, plants, energy, and heat, that players must all account for and manage. When the 3 global parameters of temperature, oxygen, and ocean have all reached their goal, then the terraforming is complete, and the corporation with the highest terraforming rating and other victory points is the winner. This game, as of this recording, is ranked #4 on the BGG rankings, so only a little bit of a difference as far as the People's Choice is concerned. I'd like to take this time out to highlight the names on the screen right here. These people are all absolutely right, because they said Terraforming Mars is the #1 board game of all time, and indeed, as far as the People's Choice is concerned, it is #1. And that's it. We are done with the People's Choice Top 100 board games of all time. Thank you so much to all of you who have supported and followed the journey all the way from 100 to 1. For some of you who might have missed some of the earlier videos, go and check it out. You might find your game on that video. You might hear your name or your handle shouted out in one of those videos. And hopefully next year, we can do this again. Thank you again for joining us. This is Harry saying take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming. Bye-bye.